Hello everyone, this is Redesigned for Resilience, transforming your business into a business inspired by nature. Okay, so you've gone through the whole biomimicry design spiral. You've come up with your design and you've evaluated based on your own business objectives as well as against nature's principles. And so now you're ready to take the next lap. If you remember from the why a spiral lecture, why the spiral is so powerful, this is when you get to leverage some of the power of that spiral. When you get done with the evaluate stage, that's not the end, it's simply the beginning. And in fact, this arc really should be down here for you because you're taking your very first quick laps around the spiral, really honing in on what is it you really want to do, right? So at the evaluate stage, you evaluate against your own business principles, nature's principles, and you came up with a bunch of questions, and that's what it's going to drive you into your next lap. It's time for you to pause, reflect, and move into your next lap with clear intentions. This is what helps you go through that divergent, convergent thinking and drive ahead, constantly driving forward towards positive outcomes and not getting lost in the world of just ideas and inspirations. Okay, so we went through all these steps. I won't go through them again. You got to evaluate, and now you're getting ready to go from evaluate into the next identify stage. So before you take your next lap, you're going to pause and reflect and move ahead with clear intentions, as I said, towards more positive outcomes. We described this a little bit last time about why we say positive outcomes instead of results or solutions. So the idea is, one thing that a business inspired by nature does is drives forward with full intentions and yet allows for letting go and adapting to lessons learned. So first you've got to pause and reflect on lessons learned and then process those and move ahead. And if this is of interest to you, we've got another shorter workshop on the 5E spiral, which is all about continual innovation and evolving your business in a process of continual learning. And that's all about constantly moving towards positive outcomes. So like in nature, we talk about how nature senses, responds, and adapts. So it's a constant sensing, responding, and adapting as it goes. And that's what you're doing in this stage before you move on to the next step. So what you're going to do is ask yourself, how can you improve upon your design? Maybe based on how you evaluated it against your own business goals, or maybe how you evaluated it against nature's principles. Perhaps what you came up with was that you want to revise your design goals or your business goals. Stop and reflect on what have you learned in each step of the process. In your first few times through, you can have some big wow moments, absolute pivots. So huge lessons learned really can really shake the ground that you walk on. And it's really interesting to reflect on what was surprising. Like, I never knew that. I never thought of it that way. Go back and review what you learned through each of these steps and what surprised you and what you might of that. What do you want to take into your next lap? And then what do you want to focus on during your next lap? As I said last time, it's so easy to get wildly inspired, have this wildly divergent process. You come up with incredible ideas, but we need to, before we drive ahead with the next lap, you want to focus in and decide what you're going to focus on during your next lap so you can be keep driving ahead with clear intentions, moving towards those positive outcomes, not just moving ahead. So what does that look like? Well, we're not going to go into a lot of details, but with our new vacation policy, a bunch of questions came up that we talked about in the evaluate step. That group, when they went through the nature's principles, they asked the questions like, can our company recover from this change in policy? Can we allow that level of adaptability that might be desired by the individuals in the company when they're expressing this new non-vacation policy? They wonder if they're missing other impacts or other systems that might be impacted. They wonder if their culture will actually support this, even though they're trying to be a business inspired by nature. They are coming from a conventional business culture and working within a greater conventional business culture. So they want to know what culture support this no policy. Will it feel unfair or be implemented unfairly? Because as they discovered, nature isn't really fair the way we think of it as fair. And one thing they didn't address, which they wanted to, was can we address the sustainability of employee vacations, okay? So in there, while they're preparing for their next lap, they got their running shoes ready. That's also supposed to suggest that they were talking about wellness in their vacation policy. What they decided they want to focus on is designing a workplace and culture that supports employee well-being. So the first lap, their design challenge was to design a new vacation policy. Their new what is a workplace and culture that supports employee well-being. And you can see that as you practice using the design spiral, that even your design challenge already starts to take the form of functions, right? So the better you get it, at the beginning it's really great to go step by step thoroughly, but as you get the hang of it, you can kind of whip through faster and faster, okay? So in our example, they're going to look at these questions, but they're decided to think what it is they want to design, and now they're moving ahead with designing a workplace and culture that supports employee well-being. Okay, so based on what you came out with in your evaluate stage and what you learned through all the steps, you're going to go ahead and follow this part of the Biomimicry Design Spiral document and go ahead and prepare for your next lap. So that it could be that you just want to focus in on some aspect. You might want to rethink what you're designing. Maybe you're going to focus on some nuances or just improve, look for more models for what you're trying to do. Whatever it is you're going to do, before you get going, I'm going to have you do one exercise. It's called Be, Contemplate, Imagine, and it's no coincidence that the initials are BCI. But actually, this is exactly what I want you to do, to be, contemplate, and imagine. One thing that's super important for Business Inspired by Nature is that you're reflective. You take time to pause and reflect so you can sense, respond, and move ahead with intentions, with clear intentions that drive towards and support your vision and values. We don't always take the time to pause and reflect. So what you're going to do is you can follow along with what it says here. And this one is, we talk about the session can be wide open, a focus on a pre-selected topic. And what you're going to reflect on is what you've learned in the biomimicry design process about the design challenge that you started out with. And then imagine what your design might look like, okay? So that's what you're going to do before you dive in. So go ahead and give it a go, and once you get done with that and with your BCI session and create your list that you want to dive into for your next lap, that's the end of the design spiral, and the last thing we're going to do in this workshop is just go through next step is a quick wrap-up, and so that's what's next. All right, enjoy your BCI, and I look forward to hearing from some of you about what designs you came up with.